Before the screaming started, there was silence. Morning fog rolled in from the sea, thick and heavy, wrapping a quiet monastery in northern England. Monks were already awake, praying, working, living an ordinary day. Then shapes appeared in the mist. Long, narrow ships, moving fast, too fast. By the time anyone understood what was happening, it was already over. Doors smashed, gold taken, people killed. The attackers vanished as quickly as they came. This was the year 793, and this moment didn't just shock Europe, it changed it forever. This was the beginning of the Viking Age. But here's the truth. Almost everything you think you know about Vikings is wrong. They weren't just savage raiders, they weren't mindless killers, and they definitely didn't wear horned helmets. The Viking Age, stretching roughly from 793 to 1066, was one of the most transformative periods in medieval history. And at its core, it wasn't about violence, it was about people pushing into the unknown. The Vikings came from Scandinavia, modern-day Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. Their homeland was cold, rocky, and unforgiving. Farming was hard, winters were long, survival was never guaranteed. So they adapted. They became master shipbuilders. Viking longships were unlike anything the world had seen, light enough to be carried over land, strong enough to cross open oceans, shallow enough to sail deep into rivers. These ships gave Vikings an unfair advantage. They didn't need ports, they didn't need roads, they could appear anywhere. One day, a village was safe. The next day, Vikings were standing in it. That speed created fear, fear created stories, and stories created legends. But raiding was only one part of Viking life. Most Vikings never went on raids at all. They were farmers, fishermen, blacksmiths, traders, and parents. They woke up early, worked hard, and worried about the same things people always have: food, family, survival. Women in Viking society held far more power than in most of medieval Europe. They ran households, they owned property, they could initiate divorce, they controlled family finances. At night, families gathered around firelight. They told stories about gods, monsters, heroes, and fate. These weren't just entertainment. They were lessons about how to live in a dangerous world. Because Vikings believed something deeply unsettling. They believed fate could not be escaped. According to Norse belief, every person's destiny was fixed. The moment of your death was already decided. You could not run from it. You could not bargain with it. So, fear was pointless. This belief shaped everything. It made Vikings bold explorers and terrifying warriors. If death was coming no matter what, then hesitation made no sense. But Vikings didn't only look west to raid, they also looked east. Viking traders traveled through rivers that cut across Eastern Europe, reaching the Byzantine Empire and the Islamic world. They traded silver, silk, spices, weapons, and slaves. Some Vikings served as elite bodyguards to foreign emperors. Others sailed west into the Atlantic. They settled Iceland, then Greenland, and eventually, centuries before Columbus, they reached North America. They called it Vinland. The Viking world was vast, connected, global, long before globalization was a word. Over time, raids turned into settlements. Vikings didn't just attack cities, they built them. Many major European towns began as Viking camps. They married locals, made alliances, became kings. England, Ireland, France, and large parts of Eastern Europe were reshaped by Viking blood, law, and language. Even today, everyday words and place names still trace back to them. But no era lasts forever. By the 10th and 11th centuries, the Viking world began to change. Christianity spread through Scandinavia. Kings centralized power. Laws replaced honor-based violence. Raiding your neighbors stopped being heroic. It became illegal. At the same time, Europe adapted. Castles grew stronger, armies became more organized, coastal defenses improved. The element of surprise disappeared. In 1066, a Viking descendant named Harold Hardrada died invading England. Later that same year, another Viking descendant, William of Normandy, conquered it. And with that, the Viking Age came to an end. Not with disappearance, but with transformation. Vikings didn't vanish, they became Europeans. Their legacy didn't fade, it settled into the foundation of the modern world. Their stories survived because they were never just about conquest, they were about courage. Imagine standing on the edge of Scandinavia, staring at a cold, endless sea. No maps, no guarantees, no certainty you'll ever return. Just a ship you built yourself, and the belief that your fate waits beyond the horizon. That was the Viking spirit. Not rage, not cruelty, but the willingness to step into the unknown. That's why we still talk about them. That's why their story still grips us. If this changed how you see Vikings, give this video a like. If you learned something new, share it with someone who still believes the myths. And if you want more history told as real human stories, leave a comment and tell me which era we should explore next. Thanks for listening.